All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, Sexy Wookiees, to another episode of the Sexy Wookie Squadcast. This week, we're reading a brand new book, Star Wars Queen's Peril by E.K. Johnston. This week, we're doing chapters 1 through 5. And along the way, Jasmine, take it away, what we have. But before that, Sexy Leader.
Sexy one.
Sexy 2, reporting
Let's
in.
go. Let's go.
Now take it away.
All right. Oh, man. So that was an interesting first few chapters. I just read them all at once. I was like, I can't put this down. I don't want to put this down. So let's see. So the first question, how would you feel as her parents, having such a young kid in government? I mean, I get it in Naboo. They're like, oh, everyone excels super quick, super young. But how would you guys feel?
How, as her parents?
Yeah, as her parents, or, in general, as parents being like, oh, my daughter just got elected as queen at 14.
I suppose the age thing wouldn't really be a huge element because it seems to kind of be the norm. She's slightly younger, I guess, than most, or is the youngest one in a while. But not like, oh my gosh, they're usually 40 years old and now she's 14. So I don't think they'd be like, she's too young for this. Clearly, they have pushed her to be excellent and to be involved since an even younger age. So they only have themselves to blame for this. And I think they're probably very proud. How would I feel? Yeah, probably like really proud. Yeah, I don't think I'd be like, if I had a daughter as capable and driven as her, I wouldn't worry too much. I would be like, yes, you deserve this.
I think, for her to be that young of an age, wasn't like in past history, hasn't there been kings and queens in our world, on Earth, that your royalty is very young or even younger than Queen Amidala was.
It will be because their parents die while they're young and they inherit the throne, and so you get like in ancient Egypt, or I mean even sometimes in Europe, you'll get a 7 or 8 year old that's suddenly king. But I don't know, Earth's a little different because you're surrounded by a lot of advisors that pretty much run the company, or your mom run the country. Or the surviving parent, usually the queen or whatever, will be pulling the strings behind the scene. But she's actually in her own right making decisions, so it's different. But yeah,
Okay.
not unheard of for young people in our history.
So I mean, well, when I was reading it, I think I went back into that where I was like, oh, they're saying that she's 13, going on 14. And so that's kind of like how I pictured it. I looked at past history that I was like, oh, it's normal for, past kings and queens to be that young of an age. But for the book wise, I mean, no, I think she was, like they said in the book, she was been doing many different type of, that line of work, with the community or out in the planet, or so it was normal, and I don't think it was a surprise. But I think when she got nominated, I think that's where, and then she was gonna get voted in, that's where it kind of hit her parents. But yeah, I'm all for you got to support your, you got to root your kids so that they, I don't know, that they do good in life. Just right.
I like that the parents were just kind of different. How the mom was just all like, hell yeah, and then the dad's kind of nervous. He's like, even though she's been preparing, there's so much more at stake than people realize. And I think I kind of related more to the dad. And I guess the age thing isn't too big of an issue, but I feel like when it comes to politics and things like that, a lot of people don't realize like all the extra stressors that come with it. And it's not just giving speeches and making decisions. There's a lot more to it. And so I felt like the dad, and I was like, oh God, if that was my kid, I'd freak out And, you know, I wouldn't let them know I'm freaking out because then that
Yeah.
might make them freak out more. But I internally would be like, oh no, there's all these other things that they need to think about when they're doing that. So I was like, oh gosh, if that was my kid, I'd be so nervous. I'd be so proud. Like, what an accomplishment. Hell yeah. Thumbs up, high five. But inside, I'd be kind of screaming. I'd be like, oh my gosh, please be okay.
I wonder what her sister's perspective is on all this.
Right?
It's a little different when it's your sibling, your younger sibling. And it's like, oh, okay, geez, you know, show off. Like,
Well,
I don't know. I wonder.
I think
the
it
sister
was
was
stated.
never interested in politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just, yeah, maybe it wasn't her thing, but it's like, geez, okay, overachiever. I don't know. That's just my relationship with my siblings. They're always like, Megan, why are you always trying to like go above and beyond? You're ridiculous. And they're all like, just chill. Like, we just want to enjoy life and do art and that kind of thing. And I'm like, I'm going to travel and I'm going to like be the CEO and all this stuff. So I was like, oh, I wonder how the sisters feel, because that's my experience.
That's fair. I have a friend who's like my little sister. We're just so close. We've known each other for so many years. And I kind of pictured myself as Padme's older sister and my friend as the little sister. And I was like, you know, I'd be so happy because this friend, she's like the smartest person. I keep saying, if my kids turn out half as smart as her, I'm just going to be so happy. If she's watching this, you know who you are. I've told you this. But I'm just like, that'd be really cool to be able to, you know, I mean, they can't say it then. They have to wait till after her reign or whatever and be like, yeah, that's my sister. How cool is that? How cool is that? She got to do this. She did all these great things, you know?
It kind of was touched on a little bit in a cutscene from episode 1, wasn't it?
Was it a cutscene or was it the comics? I thought in the comics they talked about it.
There was a deleted scene where she goes home. Oh, no, sorry. It wasn't episode 1. It was episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they visit her family. And I think her sister is there with her kids. And you meet the mom and the dad. So I'll have to watch it again to see what the dynamic was with this family.
Oh, that'd be really cool to see.
Yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Word.
All right, ready for a second one?
Yep.
All right, so would your guys' character run for queen or king, government, whatever?
As if you need to ask. Yes. All day long. She is the queen. Like, she wants to be royalty. I mean, I don't know if she would have as much interest in actually running a planet, but she might. She's kind of ambitious like that. But yeah, 100%. She would have so much fun coming up with the alias name and like what like little quirks this alternate character version of herself is going to have, and she would probably think it was very exciting to have to keep her identity a secret. Like, oh yeah, she would dig this 100%. And have like security and handmaidens. Yes. Yes, like private security. Let's do it. Sorry.
How about Relics?
No, I don't think so. I don't think Relics is brave enough for politics.
That's fair. That's fair.
If people get that reference. But I think, I don't know, I'm a Panaka fan, and I love Panaka ever since the movie, episode 1. So I think Relics would be more of one of the Naboo security, or what is it, the Royal Guard security? Yeah, so I think Relics would be more one of that in that field, serving for the Queen. So, and he'd be really excited too, just as I would. So, I love the uniform, so I think so.
Very practical.
I think that's what it's for. I like the uniforms,
and I love the dresses.
I feel like Mina would not run, but she would definitely want to be head of security or an advisor, because I feel like she would have good things to say, but not necessarily from like, you know, the speech point and everything. So I feel like she'd want to be an advisor or like on the committee and give ideas, but not necessarily present them out to everyone and finalize everything.
Sounds like we got the perfect team then. I'll be in the spotlight, you know, the figurehead. Relics can be my security, and then Mina can be an advisor.
Ooh, there we go.
Let's go rule the planet, guys.
I think
Come on.
Mina could be the governor.
Sure. That's important.
Right.
There you go. All right, that works. That works.
She's got to find a planet to take over.
Yeah,
She'll
maybe
find
we can
one.
do a poll. What planet do you think we should take over?
Uh-huh. Sexy Wookiee world.
All right, so here's the question for you guys. So if you were asked to be a handmaiden, I don't know what the dude equivalent is, hand gentleman.
Footman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we were asked to be handmaiden or hand gentleman, would you yourselves accept?
Me, myself. Yes, I suppose I would. I can't think of a reason not to. I mean, I can think of a lot of reasons not to, I guess. But those reasons are the same reasons that would exist in my real day career of playing assistant to A-list celebrities, and I always say yes to that job, so I don't see why I would turn it down if it's friggin', you know, politicians. So yeah, probably would do it. Is the pay good? Like, you get nice outfits, you get to live good living quarters. Yeah, especially if you've got the double role as you know, kind of a handmaiden, you know, wait on your mistress, and then but you're also secretly bodyguard security. Like, with that element in there, like, way more exciting. I would dig that.
I like this question. Me, if it took me out of my element, if I had to leave home, which I consider like where we live, like California, our like home, if I had to leave, probably not. If it was to serve in California, then probably I would take the job, because of all the interesting things you know that you get to experience in it. I mean, serving royalty, right? And then it's kind of like, yeah, it's something different from my world now. So, you know, it would be a big leap for me to say yes, but it would have to be in my home world, and not, you know, not anything where I have to go off world.
Wait, really?
I don't know.
You wouldn't travel for it?
Really?
No, probably not. Most likely not. At this time, no.
Well,
Too
non-pandemic
real.
time.
Too real.
Non-pandemic time.
No, probably not either. Yeah,
Oh,
like
wow.
I've told you guys this before.
You like staying
Oh.
close to home.
I like staying close to home. I get homesick really easily. Fun fact.
That's fair. That's fair. I would love to be a handmaiden, especially if it's Padme's types. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah. I get to wear those cool outfits. I get to kick ass. I get to protect the queen. Sometimes I get to be the queen.
Oh, yeah.
Sign me up. And then, you know, the living quarters, even though they're not going to be as nice as hers, you're going to get treated very well. Chances are you're going to make a real sisterhood with the other handmaidens and with the queen herself. Even if not her, you still have all the other handmaidens. So it's a sense of like security, family. I could, you know, whatever money I don't need, I could just send back to my family. They can have that extra.
Mm-hmm.
I get to travel. I get all that fun experience, all the training.
Yeah.
Sign
Yeah, you're
Jasmine
right.
and Mina up. Sign us both up.
Everybody. I don't know if Megan would be quite as into being somebody else's assistant, but I don't know if she'd take well to that kind of a job. But
Probably not. But
no, and especially if she had to like fight somebody. Like, nah. But yeah, me.
But Megan would be cool at it.
Oh yeah. Like, I've often been told, like, stop trying to be security when you're with your talent. Like, you're just supposed to kind of get them from one place to another and get them stuff when they need it. And but I'm sitting there trying to like actually elbow people out of the way and like fight the crazy fans. And they're like, you're not security. You don't get paid for security, like stop being a bodyguard. So I think I actually naturally fall into the Padme style handmaiden role.
Nice. All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Ready.
So what are your thoughts about the girls keeping Captain Panaka in the dark?
Well, let's see. I think it's, I don't know, like if you trust him, it's probably never a good idea to have plans that your security officer doesn't know about, because there could be room for misunderstandings, communications, cross wires, and things that conflict between your plan and theirs that then could open up a security breach and be dangerous. So I don't think it's too smart to not be transparent with the people that are keeping you safe. But I can see how it kind of forms a little bond between the girls, and that, I don't know, you sit around, you're drinking your wine, not at 14, don't, no underage drinking here. This is Queen Megan and her adult handmaidens. And you get to brainstorming, and it's late at night, and you've got cheesecake, and you're watching, Phantom of the Opera, and you're like, well, what if we did this? And it sounds like a great idea, and then you forget to tell security. I don't know. Things could happen. But, like, to purposefully, like, come up with, well, we're going to have our own plan, and he's not going to be in on it, doesn't seem safe to me. I don't know.
You all know I'm part of the, like, I'm by the book kind of thing. So I always side with Captain Panaka with, like, everything has to be strategically planned. It has to go by the book for things to go right. I side with him in that.
Yeah, that's your guy.
But as far as, like, the two, Queen Amidala and Sabin, it's more of like, that's like, it's like two people wanting to keep secrets from somebody, and those secrets are not like to intentionally hurt Captain Panaka, like his feelings, or like actually him, or like, but I think it goes against what they're doing, is against the, like, you're making a law just because she's the queen now. She can make she's the queen, she can do whatever she wants. So
yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't think it's wrong for her to keep secrets with Sabin, and undermine Captain Panaka's Captain Panaka's leadership.
Yeah, I don't
Do you
think
see
they
it
were
as undermining?
malicious.
Mm,
Do you see it as undermining, or
I
they're
don't think
just
so.
trying to do something strategic themselves?
I guess they're trying to plan out, their own, however you would call it, but it's, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of careless to do that, because yes, like, if you're head of security, I mean, how often does that play? That's got to be, so if there's a problem that occurs, like, there's the success rate of that, you getting luck out of that problem, and your security not knowing about it, I don't know, I think is, in my experience, like, very less than more successful.
Yeah, better to have a transparent plan that everybody's in on the same page.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like they will eventually tell him. I'm not sure if that is the plan, but I kind of like that while they're formulating that plan and they're like, okay, well, let's wait for the other girls. I like that it's just kept between those two. And I feel like if they try to bring him in too soon, then it could just sabotage what they're already working on. So I kind of like the idea of, they're going to go with what he says, but at the same time, they're trying to formulate their own stuff. Because, I mean, how well can they do, especially, Sabin as a bodyguard, if, they can't think for their own, if they can't think on their own 2 feet, if they can't just, improvise, because sometimes you have to improvise stuff. No, it's Star Wars. We've seen a lot of improvising. So I kind of feel like it's better to keep him in the dark for now until they can finalize everything, and then they could bring him in.
As
Yeah,
long
I
as they
agree.
tell him eventually.
I think they will at some point.
Alright.
At least the important parts.
I would hope so.
I don't know if he needs to know every little thing, but at least the important parts, I'm sure they'll tell him at some point. Maybe. We'll see. That's why we have
Well,
more chapters to read.
Plenty more.
Were you going to say something, Ronald?
I was, but then like I said, I agree.
No,
I
go
agree.
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
agree. No, I mean, like, I agree with what you said.
Mhm.
That, you know, maybe eventually they tell them, but it's, and then also I agree with what Megan said. So I agree with both with what you said. Like, it kind of brings a camaraderie between both of them. Um, it also brings, you know, it's building that friendship because they were not, you know, they had not met before. They don't know each other that well, and this kind of like brings the bond and kind of builds that friendship or builds that trust, that they can trust each other. And like, I like how you said, Jasmine, that they have that if she's going to be a bodyguard, like, yeah, if that's going to be a bodyguard, you have to know that I can trust you. And there was also a scene where finally Queen Amidala told her real name to Sabin, and that also built that form of trust. But yeah, to go back to your question, yeah, it's trust building between the two to do this plan between them. It's going to give them more of like you said, like if on the fly they needed to improvise a plan, yeah, it's great. And you know, at the end of all of it, like maybe at the end of her term, like, because when you can trust somebody enough like that, at the end of like your friendship, which I don't know, however long the friendship goes, you can both say to each other like, oh man, there's stuff that, you know, that we know that other people don't know. And it's that knowing between those two people that the whole world doesn't need to know about it, brings those two, whoever in this situation, but in this situation, Queen Amidala and Sabin herself is, you know, brings them so much closer together.
Mhm.
And I like that. So I do agree.
Yeah, those are good points. All right, ready for the last question, guys?
Sure.
Ready.
So, how do you guys like the format of the book where we get to be inside multiple people's heads? It's not just one story, but it's multiple at once. How do you like that? What do you think about that?
I like it. I think there's some advantages and disadvantages to all these different kind of ways that you could go with your narrative style and your choices of whether to just focus on one person's thoughts, because then it makes the reader able to kind of experience things from that person's point of view exclusively, and things can happen around them that they don't know about, and then you as an author or as a reader don't know about until it happens and it comes as a surprise. Whereas when you can go into multiple people's heads, there's less surprises, but it helps you connect with more characters, and it kind of enriches their character, you know, and how you relate to them and see them. So I am enjoying it. I like to see all these different perspectives, and I think they are all written differently enough that, as I often say when it comes to writing, that everybody kind of has a unique voice, and you can see that, and you kind of understand everybody's personality and how they approach problems and approach each other. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
No, yeah, I love all the characters. Just because we know these characters. So I'll start with the characters we do know, like Amidala, we know, Panaka, who else? Sheev Palpatine, Governor Bibble.
Bibble, CO Bibble.
Okay,
I only know
so
because I had an action figure of him, and it was the funniest thing I ever. Like, me and my sister like had this whole thing about CO Bibble. Anyway,
so to know the characters we already know, and it's kind of like looking back and then, you know, see the to form or the way they think, you know, that's great. But I really like two things. I really like Sheev Palpatine trying to pass his bill. Spoilers.
Oh, it's like, oh
And
no,
you know, there's a brief scene where we both see our two Jedis who we see in episode 1. So a lot of the events
so
of this
excited.
book sounds like it's gonna be a year leading into episode 1, if not. But yeah, so knowing the characters we already know, man, it's just great to be able to read them from a different perspective, and then it's kind of like newer stories. But then now we go to the characters we don't know, or we haven't really seen, like Queen Amidala's parents, the Sabin, the former queen of Navu, all these new Panaka's wife, Mariel.
Mariek.
Mariek, excuse me. So like to see those characters on their own side stories is kind of showing like, does that give the character a different perspective when they're talking about some anything or everything, whether it's like, oh, how do you feel, like, because it said about how Panaka's wife did not really agree with Sheev Palpatine, but
Right, she doesn't like him, but Panaka does.
Panaka and Palpatine have like such a great relationship, and even like such a close relationship, again spoiler, where it's kind of like, that's kind of weird. But yeah, I love reading
Such a
it.
good judge of character.
I'm so excited of like what these new characters are gonna bring to the old characters we already know. Oh man, I can't wait. Let's go.
Those are really good. I agree. It's just it's really cool. Usually in books you only get that one person's point of view, but to get all these different characters that we already know and some that we may not know as well, it's just so much fun. And I just love being like, oh my gosh, this person thinks this way and then that person thinks that way, and it's just really cool. And I have to point out this one part. Absolutely bravo. I started wheezing. I don't even know if it was a human sound because I was just laughing.
No.
It was in chapter 4 when freaking Qui-Gon was like, or kickstart unlikely romances with the local nobility, calling him out. I was like, yes, this is hilarious.
I didn't understand that, actually.
So if you watch the Clone Wars.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah. Hashtag Corky is a Kenobi, fight me, I will die on this hill. He's a Kenobi, I know it. But I just like the different interactions and the different perspectives. That made me laugh because I was like, oh god, we don't really know Qui-Gon that well, just from episode 1. Sassy little bastard, I love him. That made me love him even more. I was like, yes, I appreciate it. But yeah, just the mysteries and all the fun, and I just like all the different perspectives and different stories that we get to follow.
Well, it's funny because like all the old characters, like, or I keep saying old, but the seasoned characters that we know already from the films, like I like to do, or like I think I know how to do their voices well enough. Like like I said, like all the way from Palpatine to Palpatine before he becomes the Emperor, even to the Governor. I like to do the voice whenever he said, like, he has quotations in this book. So and I think that's why I'm enjoying it so much, is because of that. And who would not love to do a Liam Neeson Qui-Gon voice when you're reading,
well,
when you're reading those two,
enough,
especially those two characters.
This book is the first one in book club that I'm actually experiencing via audiobook. So if you want, I could show you Kat's impression of Liam Neeson and
oh boy,
and Palpatine and all of that. So yeah, she must have had a fun time doing all these voices, and she does. Like, she actually switches up the voice for all the different characters, so it's very interesting. And then I also have to say, like, E.K. Johnston must have been like childhood me from another timeline grown up, because I remember after episode 1 came out, I think one of the first fan fictions I wrote was about the handmaidens and trying to give each of them a different personality and like the relationship between all of them and how they worked together and overcame certain security issues or whatever. So I'm like, this is basically my fan fiction come to life. So I'm like, I'm wondering how they are in this story, because I remember how they were in my story, and I'm wondering if any of the personalities hold true. So
it's so cool getting to know their personalities, because I mean, I've always liked the handmaidens, but there's this one blog on Tumblr at Royal Handmaidens, because she really likes handmaidens. She made these posts about like their histories and their stories and everything, and I was like, I love them so much. That's why I kept putting this book back on our list. I'm like, it has to be picked at some point. I need to know more. Now I'm just like, yeah.
I know, I can't wait to pick a new favorite one once we get introduced to all of them.
Right.
So I'll be like hashtag team whoever, like whenever I decide who my favorite one is. It's like a new boy band. The Handmaidens.
They're cooler than boy bands.
Totally. Way cooler outfits. Anyway, good questions this week, Jess.
Oh, thank you.
Off to a new start and a new book. What are we reading for next week?
6 through 10.
6 through 10.
Yay.
All right. Well, then I guess we've got our homework to do this week, and we will see you all next week reading chapters 6 through 10. Get your thinking caps on, because Jasmine's going to have some more great questions, I'm sure. If you have any other questions about this, about royalty in general, handmaidens, Star Wars, leave them below. If you want to give us your opinion on Naboo politics or, old Kenobi romances, let us know.
Hit us up on Tumblr, Instagram, wherever. We'd love to have conversations about this, get to know your opinions. I personally love fighting about Corky Kenobi, so hit me up. I like hearing theories about why he is or isn't.
Bother her with that one, because I have no idea.
Hit me up with that.
All right, it's been a great book club with all y'all. So let's get out of here and get back to reading.
Nice.
Go.
Sexy
Wookiee.